One of my followers on Twitter had asked me what my thoughts would be on this particular post that was a link to an article. When I saw the title of the article, I was like, okay. Then I looked down and saw where it came from. I said, oh, I looked at the link and I knew just by the link alone, I knew exactly where they were going with this. And it's a typical talking point that a lot of palm colored people use in situations such as these. So in this picture, you see three people: Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and R. Kelly. And this article that I'm having the displeasure of reading is coming from The Griot, which is nothing more than an extension of The Root and Madame Noir and all those other, the Grapevine, all them other places that have a disdain towards black men, specifically heterosexual black men. And this is something that has been rumbling through, I guess you can say, social media since the passing down of the sentence of Harvey Weinstein of getting 23 years. So now it's like, basically over the last year, the conversation was, okay, Bill Cosby got sent to jail for 10 years. They're railroading R. Kelly like crazy and every other black man. Now we come down to Harvey Weinstein and he finally gets sentenced to 23 years and he still has the pending cases going on in California. So like I said, he's not out of the dark just yet. Now you have people like this person who wrote this article that I'm going to read to you who are saying, well, now that they finally got Harvey Weinstein and he's gotten 23 years in jail or in prison or sentenced to 23 years, because I don't think he started to serve them just yet, you can stop talking about, oh, well, what about Harvey Weinstein? And, you know, the whole Bill Cosby comparison and R. Kelly and everything. Basically, what they're saying is a backhanded thing where they want us to stop bringing up Bill Cosby in these type of situations. And, you know, because now that they have Harvey Weinstein, we can stop bringing up Bill Cosby. Because let me be real here. The person who wrote this article, just by reading the title alone, him and the people who support something like this must not like Bill Cosby. I can tell just by the title. And I'm going to read the title. Weinstein's lengthy prison sentence should shut the what about crowd up for good. Because remember, Bill Cosby got 10 years in jail and Harvey Weinstein got sentenced to 23. But look at how long it took them to get Harvey Weinstein. Look at how long it took. And how many cases got dropped over the years or over, you know, since they first started to come out about him. But with Bill Cosby, they were determined and adamant to get him. And for the last time, people keep thinking that he got sentenced on rape. No, they need to go back and look at what he got sentenced on. Rape was not one of the charges. But, you know, mainstream media plays its little lullaby on these silly Negroes, most of them with blue checks, and they think they know every goddamn thing because they got a blue check. And yeah, I've told y'all about these silly ass blue check Negroes, and I would not be surprised if the person who wrote this damn article or this hit piece, however you want to put it, has a blue check themselves. Because, you know, they think they're the smartest people in the room because they got a few more retweets than others and they got a blue check. Like I said, my theory on the blue check Negro has yet to be defeated. Now I'm going to go ahead and read this article. And who's the author of this article? Let's see here. I can't find it yet, but I'm sure as soon as we get through, we may actually find it. And if we don't, oh well. So it says justice was served on multiple fronts today. Disgraced Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in a New York State prison with 5 years probation after serving his sentence. It should be noted that Weinstein, age 67, won't see freedom until he turns 90 if he serves out the full term of his sentence. This was a watershed moment for so many victims who had to put the disclaimer allegedly for something they knew to be true for so many years. Weinstein went from being on trial to finally being convicted for raping a woman and forcibly performing oral sex on another woman who was his production assistant at the time. Sexual assault prevention advocacy that was championed from black women such as Crater Face Crunch Bar, who started the Me Too movement, the reason why rapists like Weinstein not only saw their day in court, but faced the punishment they deserve. Now, how about that? They use Crater Face Crunch Bar, or let me just call her CC, to push their little statement right there, but she's the same one that says it's not her job to go after white men. We will never not let her live that one down. That tweet is still screenshotted, and etched in our minds when she said that. She had no intention of going after no damn Harvey Weinstein, but she'll lift a finger to go after Bill Cosby and any other black man because allegedly a black man did something to her, which is what made her kick off the Me Too movement. Today was also the day when the What About community, a subgroup within our black community that often rant about the misconduct of white offenders at the expense of deflecting and or justifying the similar toxic behavior conducted by the black ones, had to take a seat and reflect. There goes that word toxic. I swear that terminology, toxic masculinity, was only made for black men. I'm more than convinced. And I wouldn't be surprised if that came from that intersectionality crowd, which is another crowd I can't stand. The intersectionality crowd, the Alphabet Academy, and the feminists all are like a trinity. They all are under the same umbrella in the same damn trick bag. Okay, it says, I think I found the author's name. I think his name is Ernest Owens, or maybe this is the guy who wrote the article. And guess what? He got a blue check. And I called it. I called it. And I'm looking at his picture. He also looks like he's in the Alphabet Academy. Often claiming to call out the racial disparity that they perceive to be happening within media coverage, prison sentencing, and criminal narratives that disproportionately shame black people more than their white counterparts, the What About community thinks begging the question is doing more harm than good. What about Harvey Weinstein was their retort when black women and others criticized Bill Cosby, who was currently incarcerated for raping again. He was not sentenced on rape. What kind of what did the people read? Did they even read? Can they read is the question. Rape wasn't even what he was convicted of. My goodness. Where is that Lifetime Harvey Weinstein documentary? Was their retort when black women led the calls to hashtag mute R. Kelly after news broke that the singer was facing criminal charges in multiple states for allegedly sexually abusing black women and girls? It should be noted that Weinstein has had a documentary about him that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival along with tell-all books about his misconduct. They may have had Sundance film movies there, but guess what? They weren't publicized like Leaving Neverland and Surviving R. Kelly. That's the point. Because I remember talking about that last year, but it literally did not. It got brushed so far under the rug. It must have been. It might as well have become part of the dust under the rug. But again, none of this mattered to those within this group who found it more empowering to taunt, troll, and sometimes harass black women and advocates online who wanted to raise awareness about sexual abuse online. As a black man, I was personally disgusted and embarrassed by those who thought they were defending my image in the media by dismissing the horrific actions of a few of us, while also dismissing the lived experiences and trauma that impacted survivors. From the victim blaming tactics to the questions of black survivors, blackness when holding those accountable within our community. For the harm they inflicted, it often felt like a losing game on social media. When Weinstein was first convicted, rather than rejoice in the relief that many survivors were feeling, the What About community decided to still run their conspiracy-driven narrative of questioning whether or not he would get a decent sentence at all. And I think that was that thing we all had a right to feel that way, because we know that as much as Harvey Weinstein has gotten away with, we thought that he probably would get the bare minimum, which was 5 years. We were all shocked that he got 23 years. I'm going to be honest. I was, interestingly enough, surprised that he got 23 out of the 25 years maximum sentence that he could have gotten. I was literally shocked that he got that. I'm sure that shocked a lot of people. I know it shocked him because he didn't see it coming. Again, they were more interested in seeing if the law was keeping that same energy rather than observing the sensitivity and importance of the moment. And now that Weinstein has gotten the lengthy sentence, one would hope that they shut their mouths for good. It's often unlikely, because what this has now revealed is that their arguments were never about caring for survivors and advocating for justice, nor was it about caring for the black community, specifically the black women who have been victimized. What this really was about was defending the things they personally love, regardless of its immense flaws, upholding the misogyny. Here it is. They are in denial of having and really performing a false sense of wokeness that they are too lazy to actually practice in real life. This sounds like this was written by a woman, but if it was written by this Ernest Owens, I can understand why. He is exuding a lot of feminine energy. I always said that if a man, a grown ass man, uses those words like misogynistic and misogynor in this context, they exude a lot of feminine energy. And I'm going to stand firmly on my square when I say that. The real couch activists of the world were those who were exploiting black trauma online to fit their narrow understanding of rape culture and the criminal justice system by misappropriating the tragedy of black boys like Emmett Till and conflating narratives surrounding black slaves being lied on to Cosby's downfall went too far, proving that some people had lost their damn mind. And they had to bring Emmett Till into it to try to drive home a point. Perhaps the better questions for the what about community is, what about just sticking to the topic at hand? What about the black folks like Cosby who are just plain wrong? What about not waiting to compare what guilty white men do before believing black victims? What about having compassion for those who experience sexual abuse? What about just admitting that you don't care about any of this and exit these conversations completely? Furthermore, not only does this sound like someone that this was written by someone with extreme feminine energy, but it also sounds like it was written by a palm-colored person. Like, if you was just close your eyes and just hear the words that are coming out of my mouth from this article, you would swear a palm-colored person wrote this. Now, it's funny because despite how we feel about Terry Crews and all of his coonisms, when he came forth and said that he was sexually assaulted by another man, a lot of these individuals were making jokes about it. Like, how did he let this man just grab his junk like that? He's this big buff dude. He could have been able to handle him. See, here's the thing right here. One thing that a lot of people like this person who wrote this article will never talk about is the black males that get sexually abused. It's funny, they have all this smoke for R. Kelly, but they will never ever talk about his Antoine Fisher moments, aka when his female family members fondled him and his brother when they were kids, which probably led him to the way he is today. They will never bring that up. And if you bring it up, they'll find a way to deflect it. The person who wrote this article and all those who think like him are full of shit. Those are the kind of whataboutums I care about hearing. Let's hope these folks begin to keep that same energy for those questions as well. And yeah, it was written by this person named Ernest Owens. Let me pause this right quick so I can pull up his picture. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Ernest Owens. That is the individual who wrote this damn piece of shit article that you just heard me have the displeasure of reading. Now you can just look at his picture and tell he's a part of the Alphabet Academy. You can tell he's an anti-heterosexual black man. He probably is one of the ones that's probably out there fishing for a black man that is not in the academy, quiet as it is kept. And like I said before, he's a blue check Negro. This is who be writing those hit pieces. Him, Damon Young, and it's another one on there on Twitter that operates the same exact way. And what do all of them have in common? Well, I don't know about Damon Young, but two of them I know for certain are in the academy. So what does that tell you? Like, he sat up here and wrote this hit piece and had the nerve to question, what about Harvey Weinstein? When we had every right to do so. Because guess what? He didn't write this article for us. This wasn't a quote unquote letter to us. This was a dog whistle, a smoke signal to the palm color community. Because guess what? They read this, they would be sitting back applauding something like this filth that I just read. I cannot stand people like this guy right here in this picture. I wasn't going to pull his image up. If I didn't know who the author was, if they were left anonymous, you would never know who wrote it. But I'm tired of this. Like, it's time to like literally put people on blast when they do shit like this. Now you see why I do the videos I do involving the Alphabet Academy. Exhibit A. It might be past Exhibit A at this point, but you know, why not? You know, keep going back to default. Think they know everything because they got a blue check. And sat up here and wrote this hit piece, because that's basically what it is. First, you have that Damon Young talking about how black heterosexual men are the white men of the black community. Then it was I think it was some guy who was a Dominican who was talking about toxic masculinity or some BS about the barbershop. Remember, if y'all remember on my channel a couple years ago, I did a video about that guy. Then it was another one on Twitter who does the same thing. And now you have this guy. It's a pattern here. It's a pattern. This shows you right here that a lot of black males who are in the academy operate just like those goddamn black feminists that do not like black men. Unless, and that's more so on their side, unless they can get a certain type of access to them. And I don't have to go into detail about that because y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But like I said with R. Kelly, I bet you this Ernest Williams Owens, whoever his name is, wouldn't ever bring up a piece about R. Kelly in talking about the sexual molestation he faced when he was a kid. And if you did, they'll say, oh, that was so long ago. He could have learned from it. He's a grown man now. Grow up. But if a woman faces it, oh, you know, it's so sad what happened to her, and she can go back and do the same thing to somebody else that happened to her. But they'll say, "Oh, it was so traumatizing. It was so traumatic. We need to extend our arms out to her and give her a hug and kisses and flowers and roses and rainbows and red balloons and all the goddamn Lucky Charms." But this goes right back to what I and many have been saying, that this establishment, that this world we live in doesn't give a damn about black males from the time that they are born to the time they are in the grave. And then when you call them out on their shit, they want to clap back with this phobic and that phobic and all this. And you didn't even have to say one thing about their sexuality. You just called them out for their BS. But they run with that as a defense mechanism because they know it works for them. But the way that this guy wrote this article, you would think he was up there defending Harvey Weinstein more than anything. But you can tell by the vitriol that came from his words that he was not only pissed at black people for having the right to question this system that we live in, concerning especially people like a Harvey Weinstein. And it goes far beyond Harvey Weinstein. What about Bryan Singer? What about Stephen Collins? What about Woody Allen? What about Roman Polanski? The whatabouts don't stop with just Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, as far as we know, could have just been their sacrificial lamb. But see, the thing is that one thing that this Ernest Owens guy doesn't get is that he's the sacrificial lamb. So now white people, palm colored people are saying the same exact thing he's saying. So now what they'll do is they're going to rev it up even more, and they can go after more black men. And that way it could shut us down and saying, well, you can't say anything because we got Harvey Weinstein. So you can't possibly say that is racism. In a nutshell, this is what this guy was saying. See, I could dissect his entire argument. That's why I said, if you closed your eyes and listened to the words that I was saying from his article, from his shit piece, you would swear it came from a palm colored person. Because that is exactly how they would write it. They would tweak it a little bit, but the narrative is still very much the same. As far as I'm concerned, I am done discussing this topic. If there are any other content creators out there who agree with me, who have seen this video, I would love to see your replies to this, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. I tend to give the Alphabet Academy a side eye, especially those who are black. Many of them put their sexuality before their social construct anyway, so there's that. As if they could really get into that club. And I do mean really into that club. I bet you he is the one white friend. I mean, the one black for sure. Depending how he wrote that, he could be. But I bet he's that one black friend. You know how they say, oh, I'm not racist because I have a black friend. I bet he's that black friend. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.